Good morning, dear students. I hope you all are absolutely fine. So, students, today what we are going to do is we are going to discuss all the questions and all the exercises given in this chapter. So, yes, students, I'm talking about chapter number 4 from your book First Flight. So, the name of the chapter was From the Diary of the Little Girl. So, students, we have learned, we have completed this entire story, and I hope that as you all have understood, you can give answers easily. So, what I'm going to do is I will help you out to do some questions. I will give some hints, I will give some clues, and we will discuss all the questions and exercises so that you can easily make notes of it, make a proper notes of it. Okay, students. So, let's start from the first one, thinking about the text. So here students, the first question is, was Annie right when she said that the world would not be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old girl? So do you remember students, before writing diary, Annie said that why will anybody read the story of a young girl? So was she right? What do you think? Was she right? So students, as we all know, we are reading her story, and this story, the book became world most seller book. So the answer is no. Annie was not right because most of the people are reading her diary in today as well. So answer is no, the little girl was not right. People are interested to read her diary. Let's talk about the second question. Second question is, there are some examples of diary or journal entries in the before you read section. Compare these with what Annie writes in her diary. What language was the diary originally written in? In what way Annie's diary different? So student, this question is about diary of Annie. In what language the diary was written. So in the starting only I told you that as Annie belongs to, she was born in Germany. So the language there is Dutch. So originally the diary was written in Dutch language, but later it was translated to English so that everyone in the world can easily read it. Not only in English, it was translated to many languages, many popular languages, so that most of people can read this interesting book. So other question is here, how is Annie's diary different? So generally, why do we keep diary? We keep diary for mentioning our things and all. We just we just have diary for making notes or just for memory. But Annie's diary is very different. Why? Because Annie doesn't treat her diary like a non-living object, but she believes that her diary is her true best friend. So here she personifies diary as a human being. So that's why her diary is different from ordinary diary. She starts writing. In fact, she gave name also to her diary. What was the name, student? She gave name Kitty, dear Kitty, and she always starts writing by dear Kitty, and ends by saying yours lovingly, Annie. So that's why this diary is very much different from ordinary diary. I hope you have understood this answer. Let's go to the third one. Why was Annie, why does Annie need to give a brief sketch about her family? Does she treat Kitty as an insider or an outsider? So first question is, why does Annie need to give a brief sketch about her family? So student, if you remember, Annie said that nobody will be interested if I write the diary directly without introducing myself. So she thought that it is better to introduce myself, my family, my nature, about my past so that people can be more interested to read my diary. And here the second question was, does she treat Kitty as an insider or outsider? So insider or outsider? Of course she believes that Kitty is insider, means someone whom she can trust. She is like family. So she personifies Annie as a living being. Now let's come to the fourth one. Okay, students, pay attention. How does Annie feel about her father, her grandmother, Mrs. Cuprous, Mr. Keysing? What do these tell you about her? Okay, so what does Annie feel about her father? The first question. First thing, as in the opening stanza, opening lines, she says that my father is most adorable person I have ever seen. So she loves her father so much, and she believes that her father is a very good person and will always help her and protect her. And we have also learned that Annie was very much close to her grandmother. She waits for her grandmother for birthday, and she says that as my grandmother is not feeling well, so I will not be happy to celebrate my birthday. But this tells that Annie has a strong feeling for her grandmother. And when we talk about Miss Cuprous, so Miss Cuprous is Annie's child school or nursery school teacher. So she says that she was very good teacher. In fact, she was headmistress also, and she teaches very well. And Mr. Keesing, as we all know, that Mr. Keesing is the one who gave Annie a lot of homework to write about essay about a chatterbox. But still, Annie Annie proved Mr. Keesing wrong, and she gave wonderful arguments. So these all things tells about that, and Annie says also that I have very good. I get along with my teachers very well. So she says that I have very good relation with my teachers. So this thing tells about Annie that she was very friendly and she was very kind. Also, that's why she has good bonding with her teachers and family members. Now let's talk about fifth question. What does Annie write in her first essay? So do you remember that first essay was given on the topic by Mr. Keesing about a chatterbox? To write an essay on topic a chatterbox. So Annie took that essay seriously. She thought that I will not write anything to just complete the homework, but I will make a complete argument. I will make an argument so that my teacher will understand that I am right, means Annie is right, that talking is in her habit. She wrote that her mother was very talkative, so that's why she is also talkative. And she says that it is a student's right to ask questions. So she's not doing anything wrong if she is talking in the class. So these are the arguments she wrote in her essay. Next question. Annie says teachers are most unpredictable. Is Mr. Keesing unpredictable? How? So yes, if you remember, Annie says that I don't know whether I'll be pass or I'll be fail, or you'll be pass or you will fail, because teachers are very unpredictable. Sometimes it happens our teachers are very happy, sometimes it happens our teachers are not so happy with us. So yes, we can say somehow teachers are unpredictable. We cannot guess what is the mood of your teacher. But when she says, if we talk about Mr. Keesing, so Mr. Keesing was also quite unpredictable, because when Annie completed first essay, then Mr. Keesing again gave one more essay. So that was not expected. So this proves that Mr. Keesing was also unpredictable. Seventh question. What do these statements tell you about Annie Frank as a person? Okay, so we have to tell about Annie from this given statement. So first one is we don't seem to be able to get any closer, and that's the problem. Maybe it's my fault that we don't confide each other. So from these lines we can say that Annie wants to get close to other people, but she cannot open herself. She cannot disclose all the secrets to other people. So it we can also say that Annie is little bit shy girl who doesn't want to reveal all her secrets to anybody, or she has trust issues also. She does not trust anyone blindly. So that we can say about Annie. Second one, I don't want to jot down the facts in this diary the way most people would, but I want the diary to be my friend. So, most of the people, why do people write diary? People write diary just for memory. That today I woke up at this o'clock, I did this, I went there, I ate that. Just for memory. They just jot down whatever it happens. So people do not. People treat diary as an ordinary diary, but Annie treated diary as her best friend. So this says that Annie has a strong feeling for her diary, and she believes that she can share anything to diary. And the line, if you remember the line, she says, "Paper has more patience than people." So she believes that she can share everything with her diary. Okay, next one. Margot went to Holland in December, and I followed in February, when I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margot. So, what does this tell about Annie Frank as a person? So, yes, Annie Frank, from this line, we can say that Annie went to Holland on the birthday of Margot. So Annie was like a gift for Margot. So it means that her elder sister Margot likes or loves Annie very much. That's why it was a surprise for the elder sister Margot. So Annie visited on her birthday. So it says that Annie loves her sister very much, and she she decided to be like a present for Margot. So that shows a bonding between her elder sister and her. So fourth one. If you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of the class should be kept back. But teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on earth. So here Annie is talking about the class. She says that about quarter of the class is like dummies, means they are not good students. About one fourth of the students are not good. So she understands this is she understands about students, good students and bad students. But she also says that I don't know about mood of teacher. Teachers are very unpredictable. So this shows that she understands human behavior very much. She is very good in making decisions. Next one, uh, fifth one. Anyone could ramble on and leave big space between the words, but the trick was to come up with convincing arguments to prove the necessity of talking. So this line was there when Mr. Casing gave Annie to write essay on topic chatterbox. So she says that if I were any other person, I would have written anything without thinking. Ramble up means just to fill any words without thinking. But here Annie wrote something meaningful. Annie made an argument. So this shows that she is she has a very strong willpower, and she never give up easily. So she has very strong willpower, and she is very good in making arguments and constructing arguments. So this was all in this question. I hope you have understood, and my this instruction will help you to make your notes better. So please make your notes as per the suggestion. You can use your own words, you can use your own answers. I'm not saying copy and paste. Use your mind. Different people have different thinking. Answers can be correct. So use your mind, okay? Now let's talk about language. Thinking about the language. Let's let's a grammar part. How many of you like grammar? I really like grammar. What about you all? So I hope you will also understand this. Let's see what happens here. So look at the following words. Look at the following words. The words are given: headmistress, long awaited, homework, notebook, stiff backed, outburst. So here students, you can see one word, like each of the words are made up of two different words: head plus mistress, long plus awaited, home plus work, note plus book, stiff plus back, out plus burst. So each word here is a compound word made up of one or more word, okay, more than one word. So these words are compound words, They are made up of two or more words. Compound words can be nouns. So here compound words can be nouns, like headmistress is a name, homework is a name, notebook is a name, outburst is a name of a feeling. And it can be adjective also, long awaited, stiff backed, it's adjective, it's adding meaning, it's modifying the meaning. It can be verb also, sleep, walk, babysit. Okay, so have you understood what is compound verb? When two or more words join together to form a different word with different meaning. Can you give some examples, like housewife, grandmother, great grandfather? So these all are compound words. So what we have to do here is match the compound words under A with their meaning in B used in each a sentence. So I will help you to find the meaning. You have to make your own sentence, make a note of it. So heart plus breaking is equal to heartbreaking. It's very easy. I think you all know the answer. Heartbreaking means when you break your heart. And what happens when you break your heart? You feel very sad. So is there any answer related to that? To do something excessive. Last one, no. Missing home, no. An informal word which means a very stupid, no. An expression producing something produced, thinking about a pleasant. Uh, yes. So this one, producing great sadness. So heartbreaking is on the top, producing great sadness. When you are very sad, when you are very sad, people say, "What happened? What happened to you?" Today I am very heartbroken. Somebody, like, that means heartbroken. Suppose something bad happens, then how will you feel? You will be feeling heartbroken that time. Okay, next one, homesick. Homesick means when you are remembering your home, when you want to go to your home, when you are feeling your parents, when you are feeling your hometown. So is there anything related to that? Yes. Second last, missing home and family very much. I'm homesick. I remember when I was in hostel, uh, then that time many times I was homesick. I was missing my parents, I was missing my family members. So I was homesick. Homesick means you are not feeling well because you want to go to your home. So homesick, very easy. Next one is blockhead. So this is head, and inside our head there is brain. So what will happen if your brain is blocked? Of course you will act like a foolish person. So let's see, is there anything like this? First one, second one, no. Third one, no. Fourth one, no. Fifth one, no. Sixth one, let's see the sixth one. An informal word which means very stupid person. So it's an informal word, means you should not use this word in classroom or office, etc. But it's an informal word. You can use, but I would not suggest you to use anywhere. So blockhead is a kind of slang word for stupid person. Like, are you blockhead? You don't have head. Is your head blocked? Because a person is behaving like a mad person. So blockhead. Next one, law abiding. Law abiding. So law means any rule, and abiding means to follow. So is there anything written about rule and follow? First one, yes, obeying and respecting the law. That means law abiding. Fifth one is overdo. So over plus do. Overdo. So over means more, like over. So when you work more than your requirement, so that is overdo. Okay, so first one is already done. Second one, no. Uh, no. Third one is also not there. Fourth one is done. No. Fifth one is also not. Sixth one, informal word, it's already done. Homesick is already done. Yes. So last one, to do something to an excessive degree, overdo. So if you are doing something more than required. That means overdo. Okay. Next one is daydream. So you may have heard your teacher calling you daydreamer when you sit in class and you imagine about your friends, you imagine about playing. So that time your teacher may have called you, are you a daydreamer? So daydreamer means when you think about something else. So let's see the second one. I think about thinking about pleasant things, forgetting about present. So when the teacher is explaining maths, Pythagoras theorem, and you are thinking about cricket, you are daydreaming. Break down. Break plus down. So breakdown is very easy word. When something stops working, we say it breakdown. So like car or vehicle or any machine which stops working, we say it breakdown. So which one is this? Yes, fifth one. An occasion when vehicles machines stop working. So that means breakdown means it is broken. It stopped working. And the last one is output. If you have studied commerce economics, you know the meaning of output. Input is equal to output. So output means where is it? Try to find it faster. Okay. First one, second one, no. Which one is that? Third one, something produced by a person, machine, or an organization. So that is output. So right now I am teaching. If you are understanding, then that's my output. Please understand. Let me make good output. Okay. So that's so I hope you understood this one also. So the next grammar part is phrasal verb. Phrasal verb. So I hope you know the meaning of phrase. Phrase. So what is phrase? Phrase is not sentence, but it is a group of words which makes some sense but not complete sense. So that thing is known as phrase. So phrasal verb is actually made of two words or maybe more together which gives some other meaning. So that is known as phrasal verb. Especially there is a verb and most of the times there is a preposition. So verb plus preposition most of the time make phrasal verbs. Let's see. Phrasal verb is a verb followed by a preposition or an adverb. Its meaning is often different from the meaning of its part. Compare the meaning of the verbs and get in on run away in. So and below you can easily guess their meanings, but in the way they have special meanings. Okay, so in part A the meaning is something else, in part B the meaning is totally different. So let's see the first part, A part. She got on at Agra when the bus stopped for breakfast. So got on at Agra means to come out of bus. Devanand ran away from home when he was a teenager. So in first one the phrasal verb is got on, and in second point the phrasal verb is ran away. So in B part, let's see, she's eager to get on in life. In A also get on is used, in B also get on is used, but in B the meaning is succeed. And there get on means to come out of bus. Second one, the visitor ran away with the match, won easily. But in first one, ran away means to run, to go away, to run away. Means you left your house, you ran away. So you can see the meaning is different. The phrasal verb is different in different sentence. So some phrasal verbs have three parts: a verb followed by adverb and preposition. So let's see this example. Our car ran out of. Three parts are there: ran, out plus off. Ran out of petrol just outside the city limits. So ran out of petrol means ran out of anything means the thing is exhausted, the thing is completed, finished. Last one, the government wants to reach out to the people for this new campaign. So reach out to the people, reach out to means so that to reach everybody, to spread message to everybody. That means to reach out to. Okay, so I hope you understood the phrasal verbs also. Okay, my dear students, so let's see the next one. The text you have just read has a number of phrasal verbs commonly used in English. Look up in the following in the dictionary for the meaning and under the entry and itali- uh, italicized verbs. Look, so the story which we have just completed, that story also contains many phrasal verbs. So you can see the phrasal verbs were plunge in, ramble on, kept back, get along with. Okay, so the meaning is given here, but you have to find the sentence where it is used. So what do you have to do? You have to use your book to find out these phrasal verbs. You can underline those phrasal verbs, or you can circle those phrasal verbs. So the meaning of those phrasal verbs is plunge in, speak or write without focus. Means Annie says that I can directly plunge in, but she says that I should think. Kept back, stay indoors or not promoted. The students are kept back. Move up, so make them quiet or promoted. Ramble on, have a good relationship with. Get along with, sorry. So actually it is mixed. It's not correct. That's what I'm thinking that what happened here. So it is kind of match the following. I will I can tell you the answers, but it will be so. Let's find out the answers. So plunge in, speak or write without focus. No, stay indoors. No, make them have a good relation. Given assignment, compensate. To go straight to the topic. Yes. So plunge in means to go straight to the topic. Plunge in. Okay. Kept back. Second one is the last one. Not promoted. Okay. Move up, go to the next grade, second last, go to the next grade, second last answer. Ramble on, speak or write without focus. Speak or write without focus means ramble on. To get along with, to get along with is the fourth one, have a good relationship with. Okay. Calm down, calm down means let's find out, quickly find out where is it. Yes, make them or remain quiet. Calm down. When you are quiet, you are not speaking anything. When you are quiet, calm down. Stay in means stay indoors. Make up for, give an assignment. And hand in means give an assignment, and make up for, which one is left. Not promoted is done. Going to next grade, go straight to topic. Compensate. Make up for means compensate. Compensate means when you have to stop your feeling, or when, like, she wanted to celebrate her birthday but the grandmother was not feeling well, so she has to make up for, compensate. Okay, so I hope you understood this phrasal verbs also, but your duty is to underline all these phrasal verbs in the workbook. Okay, so the next part here is idiom. Idiom phrases we have done, and idiom, you all know the meaning of idioms as well. Okay, so what is idiom? Idiom, when some words, they have different meaning, but when some words turn together they have different meaning, but in reality is something else. Okay, apple of my eye, and all that glitters not good. So it's like these all are idioms. So here are also few idioms which we can do. Okay, so here are few sentences to which idiomatic expression. Can you say what each means? So first one, our entire class is quacking its boots. So quacking its boots, our entire class is quacking its boots means when you are nervous, when you are not, when you do not know the answer, when you do not know the result, you are feeling nervous. So that means quacking in its boots is the idiom. Idiom, you know that idiom in Hindi we call it muhavre also. So next one, until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. Okay, so until then, by that time, or not to lose heart. So lose heart means not to lose hope. Mr. Keesing was annoyed with me for ages. So here the idiom is for ages. So for ages means for a long time. Mr. Keesing was trying to play a joke on me with his ridiculous subject, but I had made sure that the joke was on him. So trying to play a joke on me. So trying to play a joke on me with this ridiculous subject, but I had to make sure the joke was on him. So when you try to make somebody fool, when you try to make joke of somebody, so that is the meaning here. Okay. So there are some more idioms given which you have to use in your own sentence. Caught my eye, laugh ourselves silly, he had enough, can't bring myself to. So these are some idioms which I'm giving you as a homework. You can do as a homework. What you can do, it's already given. You can look into dictionary. First, you should do use in dictionary, or you can use some other uh, online measures also to find the meaning of these idioms. But make sure after getting the meaning you write sentences also. If you write sentence, then you will easily remember the idiom. But if you will just uh, try to memorize the meaning of the idiom, you will forget definitely. So practice with sentences. Okay. So here are also some many idioms. You can find out the meanings of idioms. That's it. It's not very difficult, so that's why I'm not saying. Let's see the last one. The first one, make a list of this one I'm talking about. This one on the top. Make a list of contracted forms in the text. Rewrite them in full forms in 2 words. So I apostrophe ve is equal to I have. There are many words which are shortened like that. Okay, so I plus v is equal to I have. We have seen that some contracted forms can stand for two different. So I apostrophe D has two meaning, I had or I would. So do you know some more examples like this? For example, does plus not is equal to doesn't, is plus not is equal to isn't, are plus not is equal to aren't, will plus not is equal to won't. So you have to write some more examples like this. Okay, so speaking activity is cannot help you in this because it is totally for you. You have to do it on yourself. Okay, so it's about play and all. Cannot do it as it's not a class, and even I cannot see you speaking. So what I would suggest you that do this activity with your friends, form groups, and if you have your friends, if you have your cousins with you, you can do this with them. If you have your elder brothers and sisters, you can do this activity with them. And next is writing. So writing you can also take, writing you can easily do it. What do you have to do for writing? You have to start writing the daily events. You can write your experience of lockdown, like Annie has wrote uh, her experience, which was very memorable, which was a part in history, which was the World War II, and she was a victim. Here, Corona and lockdown is also will be a very not. It's a bad part of history, but why don't you write how you are facing, how's your day, how you are spending your day, how is life different from ordinary days to Corona lockdown period. So you can mention these things in your diary. I would suggest you to write diary. Next is listening. So listening, what you can do, you can also form groups and you can take help of your parents also, or elder brothers or sisters. Okay, and there is fill in the blanks which you can do. Okay, so that was it in this lesson. We have done this Amanda poem also. So students, whatever main things which I thought that I should help you, I have helped already, and whatever is left, that I would give you as a homework. And make sure you do everything, especially do question answers and idioms, phrases and phrasal verbs. So make notes of these things because it is very important. It may come in your exams also. So learn everything, and whatever questions you have, make a list of that. You can ask us. Let's pray to God that lockdown get over and we will again meet. Okay, but by the time we have to do like this. So please support us, and please share this video with your friends also, so that they can also watch, your school friends, and mention your name, class and section, so that I can mark your attendance. Thank you so much for taking this online session. I hope you have enjoyed it.